If I had to sum up today's entire video in a single word, it would be stupid. There are some records which you might assume will never get broken, like pop quiz. What is the highest mountain above sea level? Mount Everest. That's probably not going to change, and that's great. Who is the most subscribed YouTuber on the platform? Mr. Beast. That's probably not going to change either, and that's great. And you might be 2 for 2 right now, but this last one is a trick question. What is the worst apology video on YouTube? Now, you might be tempted to answer Colleen Ballinger's apology video for grooming, in which she did not apologize for grooming at all, but instead played the ukulele for 10 minutes and called everybody who was criticizing her part of the toxic gossip train. And the ukulele apology would have been the correct answer at any point from its inception all the way until yesterday, because the streamer Dr. Disrespect has just returned to the platform to drop his apology for interacting with a minor from his fanbase inappropriately. And as you're going to see, this chaotic, rambling 5-hour live stream is without a doubt the new worst apology video on YouTube. But first, welcome. My name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of solar power lines of communication, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, we are going to grade Dr. Disrespect's apology video. He's been gone for over 2 months, I guess just planning his reaction to a controversy that has been following him around for 4 years. And you're not going to believe how someone could have 4 full years to come up with a response. And this is what they decide to go with. So the best way to understand what Dr. Disrespect did is to look at it within the context of who Dr. Disrespect is. And Dr. Disrespect is remarkably stupid. That's really the only way he can be described as far as I'm concerned. But first, quick note about his name, which is a bit of a mouthful. In this video, I think I'm mostly going to be referring to him as Beam. That's his name, Guy Beam, which will probably be a little easier to say in a video several hundred times. And I'm also referring to him this way because it's important to note, above all, Guy Beam is a creep. Like, if this was not the internet and there was just some 40-year-old creep putting on a weird costume to lure children into a private space where he could talk to them inappropriately, aka the exact thing that Beam did, in the same costume he wears in all of his appearances, including his apology stream, just because that weirdo has a silly online handle, that doesn't really supersede your identity as a certified creep. Like, make no mistake, Dr. Disrespect isn't some sort of identity that needs to be respected. It's just his job title, a persona, and the mechanism that enabled him to be this creepy in the first place. If James Charles, of all people, tried to come back and rebrand himself as like Fortnite God 73, forgive me for most likely continuing to refer to him as James Charles. In fact, if anything, Beam is just James Charles, but in 17 years. An age range which both of them are a little too familiar with. Now, because the word stupid is a fairly strong accusation to level towards somebody, we're just going to go over a brief recap of all of Beam's top moments, in which you'll very quickly realize that anytime he has ever gone viral, it's because of some controversy that could only happen to you if you are one of the dumbest people on the internet. Example number 1. Besides Dr. Disrespect, to his fans, he's also commonly known as the Doc and the Two-Time, a nickname that he gave himself because he claims to be the 2-time 1993 to 1994 blockbuster video game champion. And so what is the worst possible way that branding yourself as the 2-time could backfire? Probably by going viral in 2017 for cheating on your wife. This man named himself 2-time and then revealed himself as a 2-timing cheater who betrayed his wife and family.
As you guys know, I have a beautiful family and a wife and kid, and I want to be transparent that I've been unfaithful.
He spent the entirety of this very short announcement shedding alligator tears.
Stupid mistakes, man.
This seems like a great time to bring up my opinion, which for some reason is considered a hot take by some people on the internet. But cheating is not a mistake. It's a deliberate choice that involves several steps over an extended period of time in which you have chosen to cheat before, during, and after. And regardless of whether you change afterwards or the severity of the consequences of those actions, I have literally never felt sympathy for anybody who has cheated when they had the ability to leave the relationship beforehand. Like, by all means, cry, feel terrible even, but I'm not really sure what you want me to do about that. Anyway, let's look at Exhibit 2 of Beam continuing to disprove natural selection. By 2019, he had bounced back from the cheating scandal, quickly becoming one of the most recognizable streamers on the internet. And yet, Despite all the work it took to build back up his reputation, he threw it all away in literally one day. Imagine getting such a huge second chance at internet fame and then getting your main account banned because you walked into a bathroom. Dr. Disrespect streams inside an E3 bathroom, gets banned from Twitch. So he went to a gaming convention and decided to live stream the entire thing, including using the men's restroom, in which he violated the privacy of everybody inside without their consent, thereby resulting in not only the well-deserved Twitch ban, but also getting his E3 badge revoked. In 2019, Dr. Disrespect got kicked out of a convention for being a creep. Multiple people were visible in the stream, including some of them who were using the bathroom. And to risk your entire business for something that could have been avoided by simply taking a 2-minute break on your stream really indicates that, once again, the man is dumb. So the final moment that I would like to look at that proves that the wig may actually be affecting his brain at this point involves last year when he got triggered by somebody including pronouns in their bio.
Him. Got it. Okay. Now everything's starting to make sense. Everything's starting to make sense now. Everything's starting to make sense. Got it.
This man isn't going to be very happy when he learns that his pronouns are also he, him. So you may be thinking to yourself like, wait, that moment didn't really hit like the other ones. Like, yes, obviously getting triggered by somebody else's pronouns is insanely stupid, but this is something that a lot of people do. It doesn't really have that Dr. Disrespect je ne sais quoi, until it was later revealed that one of the people he cheated on his wife with was a self-described trans sex worker who posted extremely clear evidence that Dr. Disrespect was in fact texting her inappropriately. Live your life, Guy Beam, but maybe not at the expense of your entire family, and maybe not while also signal boosting the transphobic rhetoric that including your pronouns in your bio is somehow bad. So that is your Guy Beam biography. Naming yourself the two-time and then getting exposed as a two-timing cheater. Thriving after the cheating scandal only to get banned for walking into a bathroom. And pretending to be anti-trans when you are very much into trans people. Guy is a very appropriate name because Beam is literally his own fall guy. He just lives in a constant cycle of setting himself up to look like the worst person in every single situation. But unfortunately, when the situation involved a minor, he demonstrated all of the stupidity, but none of the comedic irony. So despite getting banned from Twitch for streaming in a bathroom, he was very quickly let back on and then offered an exclusive contract because he exploited the infinite second chance glitch called having privilege. But then just months after signing the multi-year Twitch deal, he was banned from the platform again. But this time, two things became very clear. This time, the ban was permanent, and everybody involved in this ban, including Beam, was keeping the reason a massive secret. Dr. Disrespect returns to live streaming on YouTube, offers no new info on Twitch ban. And so after moving from Twitch to YouTube, he played dumb the entire time. Honestly, we just don't know. It was a total shock. Imagine showing up to work and the doors are closed and you can't get inside. You've been fired, but you haven't been told the reason why. We weren't given an answer. It was the worst feeling. Now, many people begin to speculate that regardless of the reason, if it was serious enough for his infinite second chance glitch to fail, it must have been something pretty serious. But he managed to keep it a secret for 4 years until just a couple months ago, Rolling Stone drops an article called Dr. Disrespect knowingly sent explicit messages to a minor, former Twitch employee says. Now, Beam tried to ignore this very serious allegation. Listen, I'm obviously tied to legal obligations from the settlement with Twitch, but I need to say what I can say since this is the internet. I didn't do anything wrong. All this has been probed and settled. Nothing illegal, no wrongdoing was found, and I was paid. So no wrongdoing was found is not really the surest sign that somebody's innocent, but at the end of the day, Twitch did not officially reveal the reason. It was sort of an employee's word against his, or should I say multiple ex-Twitch employees, one of which who provided Rolling Stone with a detailed account of internal conversations at Twitch following the report of Beam's messages, and another one who told Rolling Stone that Dr. Disrespect was reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children the day of his ban, in compliance with federal law. Beam did not immediately respond to a request for comment on this. So the article makes it very clear that just due to the safety of the minor who is involved, these messages cannot be revealed. That is why nobody has publicly seen any evidence of these messages, despite this article seeming alarmingly credible. But then 3 days later, Beam just hopped on Twitter and completely admitted to messaging a minor inappropriately, thus confirming that the messages were in fact real and the Twitch employees were not lying about the reason behind his ban. The Twitch ban Hello, I'd like to make a quick statement. Something about these quick statements is they're never quick for some reason. Let's cut the BS. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about, and I'm always willing to accept responsibility. So he starts off by apologizing to everyone in his community before the minor that he was exploiting, and then he apologizes to his team, and he said that he wasn't able to publicly disclose the reason behind the ban until now that the Twitch employees have come forward. But this part is really the kicker. Were there Twitch DMs with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Using the word mutual and trying to put some of the blame on the minor that you were being inappropriate with by your own admission is disgusting. Guy Beam, through and through, 100% is a creep, and that creepiness jumps out and is apparent even in his explanation for his creepy behavior. Nothing illegal happened. No pictures were shared. No crimes were committed. I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. Let me be clear. Just because nothing illegal happened does not change the fact that you have admitted to inappropriately messaging a minor in a DM. And in 2017, no less, meaning this is one of the people that you were cheating on your wife with. A child. Now, he seems to want to get ahead of the legality does not equal morality thing, aka the truth. And so he says, from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should never have entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll own my stuff. This was stupid. No. Everything else that Guy Beam has ever done in his career was stupid. This is egregious. This is the kind of person he really is, becoming clear to the entire world. He did not take responsibility by trying to shift some of the responsibility onto the child with the word mutual. He did not take responsibility when he edited the word minor out of his statement, just changing it to messages with an individual back in 2017, before eventually editing it back in. As this person points out, you can see each version of the tweet for yourself if you go to his profile. And at the time, I did see each version of the tweets. However, now nobody can see any version of the tweet because while he disappeared for 2 months after admitting to the inappropriate messages, Dr. Disrespect says he's coming back soon, deletes his admission of inappropriately texting a minor. And this 5-hour comeback stream, which is already sitting at 2.4 million views, was called The Truth. And it started off with Beam playing Wordle, the guessing game where you have to submit 5-letter words until you find the right one. Let's see. Creep, minor, groom, doesn't look like the right word either. Nasty. Nah, it's not idiot. Well, it looks like the word of the day when Beam recorded this stream was rerun, which I guess is very fitting for somebody who's completely washed up. So his attempt at an explanation and to clear his name begins about 25 minutes in.
For almost 4 years, the public demanded to hear from the doc regarding the Twitch suspension. I guess since you all missed the point with my personal statement, maybe it's time to tell my side of the story.
Never mind the fact that his personal statement was his side of the story, and there is literally no way to misinterpret inappropriately texting a minor when you were 35 years old. This person was a child, and at a minimum, Beam would have been twice their age. So let's see what excuses he has for this.
Ex-Twitch employee wasn't even involved, leaks Twitch's reported reason. Years later. Why do this?
Why not? Honestly, like, why not do this? You'd better believe that if I knew somebody had this massive platform, 4.6 million subscribers even now, and I also knew that this person had messaged someone from that fan base inappropriately while they were a child, the moment I could safely reveal that information, I would do it.
What was the point? You decided, you rat, to leak the reported reason Twitch banned me.
I think the point was accountability, that thing that you're apparently so good at taking.
Did you not know the repercussions of accusing me? You said that I got banned from Twitch because I was sexting a minor through Whisper's messages? Do you even know what the legal definition of sexting is? I do.
Okay. First of all, dear God. Secondly, when I heard that line, I just knew then and there. I knew then and there this was on track to outpace the ukulele apology as the worst attempt at speaking up for yourself I have ever heard on the internet. An attempt that was doomed from the start because you are in fact guilty of the thing everybody is accusing you of.
You also said the word minor. I even made sure that word was emphasized in my statement, edited, etc., just to make sure these so-called journalists would pick up on it. And boy, oh boy, did they ever.
So, okay, hold on. I'm trying to shift my brain into stupid right now. Patrick from SpongeBob, Minions, Guy Beam. Okay, I think I'm there and I can understand what he's saying. You told the entire world that you were inappropriately messaging a minor because you were trying to bait journalists? What are you on right now?
When you and all these so-called journalists fired off your tweets, did any of you consider that the Twitch user may have been over the legal age of consent at the time of the messages?
May have been over the age of legal consent? Sure doesn't sound like 18 to me. You want to go ahead and say the age, or?
You also tried to tell the world that I was trying to meet up with this user at TwitchCon.
Oh, okay. No, I guess we don't want to say this person's age. So there's that. Going to go ahead and stick with Beam's original admission here and point out that this person was a child.
We never made plans to meet at TwitchCon or anywhere else. And in fact, we never met in person ever. I suspect all of you sort of planned and coordinated this attack.
Well, it didn't take long to pull out that play. You guys just tried to convince everyone that I'm a creep because you hated me. And I played along because, journalists? Question mark? Like, this is literally falling apart in real time as he is delivering it.
If these anonymous sources worked on the trust and safety team at the time of my Twitch suspension in 2020, then you would hope they would tell the truth. But apparently that's just too much to ask. If these former trust and safety team members, and by the way, I know exactly who they are.
Okay, he's scaring me. I'm scared and I need an adult. I am an adult though, to be clear. Had to throw that out there because I don't want any Dr. DMs.
The same employees that decided to ban me internally admitted that the whisper messages were not sexting. Twitch's trust and safety team, the same employees that decided to ban me, internally acknowledged that the whispers did not constitute child sexual abuse material CSAM.
Oof, okay. So if the strongest defense you have against the fact that everyone believes you are a creep and a groomer is that technically your messages did not constitute child sexual exploitation materials, the bar is in hell at this point. Or maybe we are, considering this video has 2 million views.
Neither I nor the Twitch user exchanged any sexual graphic messages or images. I even used the word inappropriate purposely. And look at how it's defined by everyone, champs. Huh? Including these defaming articles.
Y'all, this is just so painful. I believe we're witnessing internet history here. I have never seen somebody defend themselves against an action by saying that they admitted to it to trick everybody into believing they did it, even though they didn't. But if inappropriate wasn't the right word to use, then what, pray tell, was?
I'm sorry, but mutual bantering with inappropriate jokes taken out of context should have never led to me getting banned from Twitch in the first place.
Ah, okay. Mutual banter with inappropriate messages. So inappropriate messages. What message can be taken out of context to make it seem like you are inappropriately messaging a minor? The thing that you said you did and are also saying you did here. And now he seems to think he didn't even deserve the ban? When the platform that they banned you on was the one you were using to access this child?
How would each of you look if all of your private DMs, your text messages, your chats were looked at, dissected, and taken out of context by someone who's deliberately trying to find something inappropriate in those words?
Not like I was sexting a child, that's for sure. I feel like that's the case for most people who don't talk to kids half their age about weird stuff on the internet.
We're talking about allegations that Twitch made against me as a half-baked reason for justifying their actions of suspending and shutting down my channel. Allegations that Twitch made without even a legal analysis of whether the whisper messages were legal!
This dude is cracked. Like, genuinely, he has just lost it. I don't even know how else to put it. You're cracked, you're cooked. It's crazy that you think this is a good defense. It's crazy that you were messaging a child like this in the first place, let alone trying to now drag us into this fantasy world where you didn't deserve the ban regardless of that. And also it was okay because it was just taken out of context. A context which you are completely unwilling to give any more information on. Probably because it would make him look even worse somehow. But he's sure doing a good enough job of making himself look worse already. Because yelling like a maniac about how technically nothing you did was illegal doesn't really have the effect he seems to think it does.
So after we signed with Twitch in 2019, we asked for a new partner manager. Just a few months later, that ex-Twitch partner manager is directly involved with getting me banned. Coincidence?
Okay, what in the world was that? Coincidence? You think you put the curly hair on and you're a TikToker now? Like, what was that all about?
The Twitch user tells this ex-Twitch partner manager that they do not want to report anything to Twitch. But this ex-Twitch partner manager encourages the user and even directs them to file a report directly with Twitch, even though the user told him clearly that we never physically met anywhere and that no photographs were exchanged.
So a child came to an adult in your life and was unwilling to go to authorities about you being inappropriate with them. But then this adult very rationally, very correctly helped them understand that this was inappropriate and needs to be escalated. But he is now spinning this as, actually, that guy just had a grudge against me. This is genuinely unhinged.
On June 24th, 2020, Twitch's special operations team receives and reviews the user's report. They find no issues and determine that it did not warrant any further escalation to Twitch's law enforcement response team. But that partner manager, oh boy, did he had it out. He had it out for the two times.
So his manager, random ex-Twitch employees, and the media, all journalists, I guess, are his ops, because this man seems to think that the character he's playing is the main character of everybody's life.
He finds out that no further action will be taken, so what does he do? He personally escalates the report to a friend on the Twitch's LER team. The LER team, remember, that's the Twitch's law enforcement response team. The LER analyst cherry picks and sends a few targeted excerpts out of context from the whisper messages to this director. Now, if you do this, you can make anyone's messages look inappropriate.
So Twitch's law enforcement team did determine that your messages constituted a ban. Great. Got it. Useful information.
This LER analyst and his director have made the decision to suspend me from Twitch. Twitch submits that report. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Guess what? As far as I know, and over 4 years have passed, they didn't do anything with the report. They didn't escalate Twitch's report to law enforcement.
This man really just pulled out the Drake defense. This man really just did that with his whole chest. If I was being a predator, I'd promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for the thing you just suggested. If I really did the wrong thing, there would have been legal ramifications. There weren't. That's my absolute proof that I did nothing wrong.
Twitch makes this decision to terminate my contract and ban me without ever interviewing me, the user, or any other third party, including the partner manager. It's unbelievable!
It's actually so very believable, because the age of consent being lower than 18 wouldn't change the fact that you were sending inappropriate messages to a child regardless of their age. So do you honestly think that Twitch wants any of that smoke over you? Absolutely not.
The judge in the case determined that the whispers were not illegal. So then why did Twitch use these messages against me? Why did Twitch treat the doc so differently from their other streamers?
Their other streamers. All right, so now we've pulled out the part of the playbook where we start pointing out that other people have also done the wrong thing and they didn't get consequences.
But I also didn't do all this that they're saying I did. But then that doesn't make a story, right? They wanted media attention. The media wants controversy.
Anonymous Twitch employees wanted media attention, only one of which is public at this point. Pretty sure the attention seeker would be the one wearing the same outfit that lures children into the fan base in the first place. But anyways,
you all got what you wanted at the expense of the two-time. The reality is they wanted to cut down the doc, plain and simple.
But why? Why do people like this think the entire world is out to get them? I know it just has to be an ego thing, but How could you truly believe that anybody cares about you that much?
Take a look at some of these horrendous acts of Twitch streamers that were never banned. A streamer that frequently used the N-word while publicly streaming. Streamer was reported for discussing doing things with deceased animals. Streamer was reported for a sexually explicit stream involving children and telling children to send Snapchats. It's so obvious that certain Twitch executives, employees involved had personal biases against the doc.
So, because he's not racist, into bestiality, or looking at videos of children, this is why Twitch should not have banned you? I don't even know who the streamers he's referring to are, or if these stories are real, or if they exist, or whatever, but it kind of doesn't matter at all in this specific case, because it's only being used as deflection. If you know who these people are and they're such monsters, then just say it. You know what I mean? Like, why would you take this really serious information and only use it as a reason for why you think you shouldn't have been banned?
You see, I shouldn't even be banned from Twitch. I just have to say it again. Why would you do this? This was handled professionally years ago. We just lost... man. Unfortunately, we have to lay off people from Midnight Society.
So innocent people in your employ are now being affected by your actions, but you're gonna go ahead and blame this on the fact that you got outed as a creep, not on the fact that you are a creep. Is the accountability in the room with us right now? Because I'm really not picking up on it.
For all you doc haters, I'm sure you'll dissect all of this and still find a way to publicly criticize me. Do what you need to do.
I'm gonna be so real with you right now. I don't even have to find a way to publicly criticize this person. I literally could have just ripped this section of the stream in its entirety and then posted it on my channel. And I'm pretty sure the comments would still be the same, which is that you are an unhinged creep. So the man's doing a bit more of the heavy lifting here than he seems to realize.
And I'm not denying the exchange of whispers, champs. I'm not denying that to all of you out there, it looks bad. I have no way of knowing if the Twitch user thought our exchange of whispers was inappropriate. If it was, I apologize.
And there it was. I'm sorry if I offended you. This is it. This is it. This is just it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's not even a question in my mind. This is the worst YouTuber apology of all time. Hands down, no more submissions. I have no idea how this could ever be topped. I thought that about the ukulele, but this is like so much worse in my opinion.
I'm not saying anything more about any of this, unless I need to, because trust me, I have more I haven't disclosed. I just want to get back to what we do best.
Setting yourself up for failure and then failing and then everyone laughs at you and then you look dumb. He is very good at that. I guess I do have to give the doc props where they're due. And so just in case there was any question about this being the worst, after supposedly ending this rant, people were saying, yo, why don't you just show the messages since they are apparently taken out of context? And I'm not advocating that the messages were shared since multiple people seem to deem that this would have been a safety issue. But his response to this, once again, is him saying the worst possible thing he could in this situation.
People want, show the message, release the messages, show the messages. What are we, in second grade?
What are we? In second grade, says the man whose legacy is now inappropriately messaging a minor, admitting to it, and then trying to come back and say it's fine though, because technically it wasn't illegal. Your last two words on this statement are second grade. This is the dumbest man on YouTube. And you know what the most infuriating part is? His fan base ate it up. And because that stream did have like 2 million views and at one point over 250,000 concurrent viewers, they're out here trying to act like he won. Nah, the doc won. He beat the allegations. That Uno reverse was crazy. But what's crazy is that you don't realize the fact that he is able to continue his career is not an indicator of his victory. It's an indicator of your stupidity if you're still supporting him. It's an indicator of the collective capacity for stupidity. Because even before the inappropriate minor allegations were released, but after the 2-time cheating scandal and the bathroom incident, you've got people saying he's such a likable guy, and I don't think people realize how brilliant his character is. Seeing the man behind the character, I simply cannot believe how talented and smart he is. Smart guy! And one could argue he must be somewhat smart if he was able to become one of the top streamers and maintain his relevance throughout years and years of controversy. A lot of things that would honestly have ended most people's careers, but he's not in this position because he's smart. He's in this position because dumb people idolize the epitome of their idiocy. Donald Trump and Andrew Tate aren't smart. because a lot of people listen to them. There's no 4D chess, no mastermind theory behind how they wound up in the position they're in. It's just a bunch of people who see themselves in the CEOs of being a dumb person. To take yourself with any level of seriousness when you show up on the internet dressed like this every day is wild. And this is coming from me, the man who shows up on the internet dressed like this every day. But no, it's not surprising to me at all that this man still has a fan base when the people who have been in the fan base the longest have years of experience running defense for him after the cheating scandal. Never in my life have I been surrounded by so many people who have never made a mistake in their lives. You can be a cheating apologist and idolize a creep all day, and millions of those people can come together to do this, but that doesn't change the fact that the person in question is the disgraced laughingstock of the entire internet and has been for years. This man was out here getting bodied in Fortnite by people with usernames like Dr. Cheats on Wife. Look at this face. He knows. That's the thing that none of his fans seem to realize. He is completely aware that nothing he says about himself is actually true, and that outside of his bubble, he is just seen as what he truly is. I'm just gonna Google Dr. Disrespect meme. Wow, first result, the doc as EDP445, aka a child predator. EDP memes, people comparing you to Drake and Andrew Tate. Never went pro because he prefers the minors. These are the first 4 results. I did not put Dr. Disrespect allegations meme. This is just how people see you. Guy Beam's life work, like the sum total of all of his actions on the internet over the last decade almost, his biggest achievement is just gathering all of the predator apologists on the internet into one fan base. So congrats, I guess. Many people owe Doc a big apology. Man, did he ever make those haters look silly. We now know what inappropriate meant. Mutual bantering with inappropriate jokes taken out of content. There's still one thing not adding up. Wait, what? Let me be honest, I was rooting for the Doc. I love his streams and I was hoping he would set the record straight, but there was one line that left a sour taste in my mouth. They failed to check the legal age of consent in the Whisper state. If there was no sexting involved and nothing sexual, why would that have even been relevant? Oh, wow. It's just not adding up. You can't say it wasn't sexual, then use age of consent as one of your argument points. I didn't even really put 2 and 2 together there, but that is exceedingly strange. But nah, whoever made that post, screw you. After hearing this, Doc, I'm done with Twitch. From now on, it's gonna be only YouTube and Kick for me. The comeback is always stronger than the setback. Welcome back, Doc. If 1.4 million views is considered falling off, then Doc must have fallen onto an elevator. Oh, you almost got it. This person almost understands that Guy failed upwards. He did fall off into an elevator. Elevators move by themselves. They are not powered by any inherent skill that one possesses. So they are built-in structures which certain people are able to take advantage of due to their proximity to them. Again, I don't have to try to make Dr. Disrespect look terrible, and I don't think anybody outside his fan base has to do that, because it kind of seems like some of them have that covered already without even realizing. Anyway, my verdict is that he should have just ditched the drag and dipped. Like, retire your drag persona, get rid of all the camp, and just thank your lucky stars that you did all of the nastiest stuff you're known for while wearing what is essentially a mask, and then leave forever. You know, why did he not just ditch the internet? Deciding that the public humiliation is worth the money you're going to get is wild. But looking back over this man's entire career, I can't help but wonder if the public humiliation is part of the appeal for him. How else do you wind up in this position every single time for like 7 years? It's just absurd. But that's my take on the situation. Dave's take is that the Doc just needs to pick a struggle, because when you are dumb, loud, wrong, and a creep, it's giving attention seeker at that point. And I am of course excited to hear your take. I mean, this is the part of the video where a layman would ask you to subscribe, like the video, or leave a comment, but instead I will ask you to enroll, evaluate the video, and submit your feedback. Because I am of course running a 100% completely, totally, not really, but kind of maybe unaccredited university. Probably. Just ask anybody in the student body and they'll confirm it for you. We're totally legit. And as for me, whether you'll see me in 24 hours or 24 months is honestly anyone's guess, but until then, thanks for watching. Your homework for today is to come up with a new drag name for Guy Beam after he retires Dr. Disrespect.